Hello everyone, my name is Pixlriffs and welcome back to Decidedly Vanilla. How are you guys doing? Hope you're all having a good day. Today we're going to be working on a bit more stuff around the jungle base, and I want to start off by showing you guys what I'm working with up here. This is the structure I started in the last episode with the sandstone and the concrete powder. I've pretty much kept it to those two materials so far, and I am really happy with how this is coming together. There is a little bit of an exception above the doorway there. We've got a yellow concrete powder, which is going to be only visible really from the outside once we're done with this, but it's just something to add a little bit of detail to the doorway, almost like the sun is rising kind of over there. I think that is the direction the sun rises from, actually, unless it's that way. Maybe it's that way. Okay, so maybe it's the setting sun. I don't know. This doesn't really have any kind of significance the way I'm trying to make out like it does. I just feel like it'd be a nice little detail, and the yellow and blue, the kind of cyan blue, always contrast really nicely. I really think that's a good color combination, so gonna go with that. Also got a little bit of jungle wood that I'm starting to work in around the place, but the jungle wood sort of stands out a lot more than I was expecting it to against these materials. I think it's mainly just like how big a contrast the brown is. So right now I'm using it just as a kind of like window ledge thing up there in those top window sections, and I'm not really planning on using it much throughout the rest of the structure. Still not entirely sure what we're going to make the floor out of. The problem with these kinds of builds is that the floor always ends up being made out of sandstone because that's what the majority of the build is made out of, and I don't really want to do that, but that leaves me with very few options when it comes to the actual floor. So I'm not entirely certain. I might end up making it out of stone, just like smooth stone, maybe with other materials in patches here and there, but I'm open to suggestions when it comes to that stuff. I might leave the floor plain for this episode and see what you guys think. So if you guys have come up with a dynamite floor design for a building like this, whether it's made of sandstone and the cyan kind of concrete powder, or whether it's just a similar style of building when it comes to architecture and stuff, let me know. I would be interested in seeing that. You can drop me a line on Twitter, or you can just let me know the materials you use in the comments, and I can test something out in creative mode and see what works, or even test it out here, because I've got access to pretty much all of the blocks a man could want right now. But I'm going to continue working on this. I'm going to take a quick look at it from the air to see if it's kind of scaling well with the temple. That was my main issue with starting this project, really, was like, was it going to make the temple look out of place? Was it really going to kind of outshine the main event over here? And I don't really think it is so far. At least once we have a little bit more stuff built around here, it feels like the temple is going to fit in a little bit more, whereas right now it just kind of stands out like this. So that's the hope. Anyway, I'm going to continue working on this structure, do a little bit more on it off camera. We're going to do a little bit more stuff today in the temple itself. We're going to be working on some of the stuff down here, where right now I just have the cows. We have the that was a bit of a rough landing. There we go. We have the cows breeding up in here. Currently, they are just in this narrow corridor, but I'm planning on expanding that out. Maybe actually bringing this whole level another step down, or expanding the ceiling so it is a little taller, because I feel like this is kind of, it's claustrophobic right now. It's only too high, so I feel like maybe we need to expand that out in some form or another. And then we're going to get started on a couple of redstone farms down here so that we can put together maybe a sugarcane farm, maybe a crop farm, or, you know, something to trade pumpkins and melons, that kind of thing. So, yeah, basically supplying our villagers with the stuff they need for trades is the idea. So, yeah, we're going to get on with that. I'm going to do a little bit more building over here first, get this structure over here to the point where I'm enjoying the way it's coming together, because I think it's looking pretty good right now. It just needs a little bit more structure. I need to work out what exactly is going on this top level here, and then we'll be ready to move on, and we'll do a little bit more inside the temple. Okay, so this is getting there. I think it's looking good so far. The best part of it right now is this entrance, which I kind of wanted to do. I wanted to keep with the sun motif a little bit. I wanted to use the yellow concrete powder just a little bit more. And so I've got this kind of spiral thing that comes in from two sides but leaves the other side sort of open, and it frames it in sandstone. And I think that looks pretty good. I think this almost looks like a sort of another temple, maybe like a chapel of sorts, I guess. And if these people, as an ancient civilization, they're maybe going to be sun worshippers or something like that. I'm not certain how that's going to go, but I think this looks pretty good. I'm also considering doing sort of what I've done with the temple over here, and maybe bringing in the top in like steps, but leaving it a little bit more open, because having it open to the elements is going to be fine as long as, you know, there aren't going to be any mobs spawning in here. and I think I'm not entirely certain what I want to do with the roof here. So I'm thinking of maybe kind of stepping it inwards a little bit, but then leaving kind of a track along the top, which is completely open. If anything, so that people who are, I guess, worshipping in here, if they are sun worshippers, could see the passage of the sun throughout the day. So it would rise over there, it'd come all the way through here, and then obviously right now, as it's going down on the sort of downward arc of its travel across the sky, it would end up down that way, and that's maybe where like an altar would be or something like that. It seems a little bit weird to have a temple of sorts right next to a temple, but maybe this isn't a temple as such. Maybe it's something completely different. I don't know. This is a completely fictional civilization at all, so I don't know why I'm even stressing about it, but it's just something that I like to, like I said in previous episodes, I kind of like to build a story for the area that I'm building. But I'm going to pause the building for now because I realized that if I wanted to make a sugarcane farm, and I do in this episode, any kind of automated redstone farm really where stuff is gathering passively in the background, it would actually make a lot of sense to build it before I do any of this. Because then when I end up doing a ton of building work around here, it's just going to be gathering resources for me in the background. And it seems a bit silly to not have that done first before I ended up doing a ton of the building. So we're going to head down to the basement here. We're going to dig out a small section down here, and then we're going to make a sugarcane farm. And I feel like the best thing to do really is going to be to carve out the ceiling up here a little bit more, because that will give us a little bit more space. It gives us the space that we need, and I don't want to dig down much further because then the beacon is set down there. The staircases are going to have to come down one more block, and that's going to throw off the geometry of this room a little bit. So I think, yeah, we'll dig out a section over here. In fact, let's just dig out this whole section around the outside of these prismarine pillars, which I might also reorient because, I don't know, I liked the idea of this at the time, but then having the prismarine come down here now is just, it's starting to get a little bit inconvenient. So maybe we'll do these kind of larger arches for them, maybe bring them in one by one like that, just so it still kind of covers up the staircase on this side. I'm gonna rearrange certain sections of this anyway, so it's not gonna be too much of a hassle to do that. But yeah, I reckon 3 or 3.5 blocks is a decent height for this area, and it's going to give us a little bit of room to work with anyway, because the sugarcane farm is going to have to be at least 3 tall on the outside for it to work. It's going to have sugarcane. It's going to have room for sugarcane to grow to a height of 3 tall, and then there's going to be a redstone mechanism underneath it. There's going to be the tracks and minecarts with hoppers that are going to be collecting the sugarcane as it gets broken by observers and falls. We're going to go with basically the same sort of system we had with the farms up here, where it's just a line of observers checking when the sugarcane grows to a certain height, and then a piston ejecting and causing it to fall down, but then it's going to actually be collected by a hopper minecart instead of a water stream, which is going to make it lossless, which ultimately, between that and the size of the farm that we can build underground, is just going to make things a lot more efficient in terms of the amount of sugarcane we can gather. And so with this glass going in, that is one portion of this sugarcane farm installed, and it's going to be quite a big operation. I'm hoping to harvest quite a lot here, so we're just going to fill this all up with glass, and there's a minecart running under there already. I need to have a means to turn off this redstone torch I've got down here, but I think I'll probably just attach a lever to that block so I can disable it if I want to, just so if we need to give this minecart down here a bit of a jog, if it gets into unloaded chunks or something and doesn't want to run back and forth, then I guess we can do that. And I'll tidy some more aesthetic stuff about this up, but I do think the prismarine looks quite nice behind there. I think that's actually a pretty neat little design. One problem is we can't really light it right now. Maybe we should put some glowstone or redstone lamps across the top or something like that. Maybe even sea lanterns might go a little better, who knows. But yeah, this is going to be module number 1. There's probably going to be at least 4 of these. So one here, one on the opposite side, around here. And they're each going to be collecting sugarcane individually for now, but then once we get everything settled in, I might try and use hoppers or water streams or something like that to combine the outputs of each of these into a single source, and then they can just sit here collecting sugarcane for me. So obviously, you guys know this design already, but I'll explain it for you just in case anybody out there is unfamiliar with it. Once the sugarcane grows up to its maximum height, the observer triggers the redstone current that's running along the back of here, and we'll push out all these pistons, which cuts off the sugarcane at that height, but then they'll just keep growing back up. There's a water source behind there to make sure we can plant the sugarcane in the first place. The glass stops it pushing forward, and then the hopper minecart can actually pick up items through a single block of sand, and that's what collects it all and dumps it off into the the chest down here. Now, there are actually hoppers running all the way along the underside of this, so it's pretty guaranteed lossless. It's kind of foolproof, the idiot-proof version that I have to build for myself just so I don't mess anything up. And this has actually taken me quite a long time to build all on its own. Like, if you imagine the amount of time Mumbo Jumbo says it takes him to build stuff, just like aesthetic builds and things like houses and whatnot, that's the amount of time it takes me to do redstone projects. We're kind of the opposites in that way. So yeah, we have ourselves a working sugarcane farm now. Just got to install another duplicate of that in this wall and double it up on the opposite side, and we should have a nice sugarcane output before too long. And we're all done here. These are fully set up now, full modules of a sugarcane farm, and not too badly decorated, if I do say so myself. There is actually a certain kind of satisfaction in putting together something like this, especially if you can make it look nice. And I think this certainly fits in with the aesthetic we've got for the base right now. I kind of need to remove this section in the middle at some point, I think. I don't know. I'm just like, I'm bashing my head around here. I need clearance. I need some stuff to change, maybe. I'm still not entirely convinced about these staircases. Like, I like the idea of there being a spiral kind of thing in here where each staircase goes in a different direction, but this pathway just kind of stops and I drop down a lot of the time. I don't know. It kind of works, kind of doesn't. Not certain. So this may change at some point, but I've managed to widen out the archways of the dark prismarine just to kind of incorporate these tunnels we're using for the sugarcane farm. And hopefully while we're looking at these, you'll hear it go off so you guys will know it works. This one over here is looking... Oh, yeah, there it goes. There it goes, you see? So that one just cleared completely. The one in the middle is actually... It will trigger both sides because it shares the redstone current down the center. The redstone wire is basically triggered by any of the observers on either this side or this side. So you'll see that one triggering both sides, which is not too bad, actually, because they grow at roughly the same rate, of course, and every time it sets off, you will get a decent amount of that. There we go, look at that, instantly, and instantly gathered up by the hopper minecart in there, and we've already got a decent supply of sugarcane being filtered into the hoppers down here. So this is working like a treat, and all I have to do is sit around here and AFK, or maybe do some building in the area. I've still got a little bit of material left in some of these from where I was digging out with the hoppers in place. But yeah, all I have to do is just stick around the base for a little while, and we should get ourselves a tidy supply of sugarcane for turning into paper and trading with our friends over at the villager camp. So that's going to be it for today's episode, I think. Bit of a shorter one this time around, but I did want to get it out to you guys before another episode of Pixark, because I've really been enjoying that series, and I hope you guys don't think I'm spamming it on my channel right now and neglecting Minecraft. I am playing Minecraft a whole bunch, but the main reason I'm playing Pixark so much and releasing so many episodes of it is because it's a brand new game to me, and that means that I'm still learning a whole bunch. It's fun for you guys to see the stuff that I'm learning on camera, and it's a little bit easier to make episodes that way because I can just load up the game and play for half an hour, and then I've got half an hour's worth of stuff because I'm just doing stuff constantly. Whereas here in Minecraft now, of course, we've got to the point where larger projects are what you guys want to see. You guys want to see kind of progress throughout an episode, and I can't make small amounts of progress anymore because we've got all of the stuff that we need. We just need to get on and build stuff, which always takes time. But I hope you guys are enjoying the Pixark series. Don't forget to keep watching that because there's some cool stuff coming up, some very fun episodes in the near future. But thanks for watching this episode of Decidedly Vanilla. My name has been Pixlriffs, so leave a like on this episode if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye for now.